Zooming in.
Not loud.
Is it on?
No allowed. Is it recording?
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, MCW Hall of Famer.
Ladies and gentlemen, MCW Hall of Famer. Eddie Osbourne.
All right, welcome to the PWA Live to Tape Roundtable. We're doing this, it's like a panel. We're going to just go through all our memories of PWA. We got Jeff Black here on the far end, for those who are not familiar with him. We got Sabrina Kyle, Joe Dog Hallem.
Oh, wow.
Want to just correct it? So
It's
for
Hallem.
people-
It's Hallem, yeah.
Okay, we got Eddie Osbourne, and I'm going to be the host, so we're just going to take it. So, we're going to start with you.
Go Canucks.
Yes, on
yeah, go
Saturday.
Canucks.
Yes. And Jeff Black, we're going to start with you and go down. What made you decide to get into wrestling?
Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Then I watched, I remember watching Lance Storm against Jerry Lynn, Anarchy Rules 99.
Oh, man.
And, like, Terry Funk and Mick Foley were nails in the coffin for me to want to be in wrestling. But when I watched Jerry Lynn against Lance Storm, Anarchy Rules 99 from Chicago, I was like, I'm in. I want to do that. I couldn't do that, but I wanted to do it. So.
And man, and look where he is now. One of the
I'm
most
in the
traveled
man kitchen.
on the man kitchen,
I'm
right?
in the man kitchen.
And one of the most traveled in Ontario. This guy's been having a steady schedule for, probably like, I
When
know
he's
for
allowed.
sure
When
16
he's
years,
allowed.
but the last like
Well,
10 to 12 years.
I would
it's
say
really
I'm
picked
the
up.
most traveled. I don't go far anymore. But yeah, there's
Every weekend though, man.
well, pretty much every weekend. But there was a time when we were running hard with the ring, me and lovely Lenny Lilac, doing a lot of ring rentals for Rock Solid Wrestling.
Oh, right.
And there was a lot of kilometers and a few hotel rooms and a lot of good stories.
Yeah, man. And hopefully we'll get into that, but we're gonna just keep it. Everyone gets their piece. Sabrina Kyle, what made you decide to get into wrestling?
Gangrel.
Gangrel. Oh.
PWA alumni.
Like back in the WWE, or did you know of them before that?
No, WWE.
Like the Brood and all that?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I grew up in the country, so it would, like, Raw would be on cable on,
yeah.
like, Saturday morning on Global.
Oh, really?
I'm
Not
pretty
the TSN, eh? You
No.
watch, like, the replay on
Yeah.
it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I only got one channel.
Jeez.
And so that was just...
Tough. That's tough.
Yeah, it is. I had 3 channels.
just seeing their entrance and then him in the ring.
And were you were always into, like, Queen of Horror, for those who don't know, and were you always into that kind of scary... So then it was like, oh, they have this in wrestling? and
Yeah.
everything? But what, you didn't like Undertaker and that? Like Gangrel was it for you? Like,
Yeah, like, Gangrel was the big one.
And you're
So-
like, you thought that you would want to do this, or you just thought that you really were a big fan of it?
I was a really big fan, and then it was like Trish Stratus was... When I saw her wrestle, I was like, I want to wrestle.
It's like it inspired you.
Yeah,
like,
I was
could
like
maybe
12
do
years
this.
old, so...
Oh man, Trish
And-
Stratus.
Little known fact is she has a certificate that she got from school in the knowledge that she has of Trish Stratus. She was given a certificate.
John Cena.
Like a Stratus.
And John,
Stratisfaction.
no, it was, this is...
No, it was
this-
my teacher
it's-
gave it
it's
to me
like
because I used
she
to write
did
all
this
my...
report on John Cena and Trish Stratus, and one of her teachers gave her a certificate for her having such extensive knowledge of John Cena and Trish
Wow.
Stratus. That shit's certified.
And she will take a picture of that certificate and post it on the comments. Because we're gonna post it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's basically other wrestlers so far have been inspiring. Joe Dog, were you always a wrestling fan?
My earliest memory of anything in life at all was playing with my neighbors, like my neighbor who was also, 3 years old, and we were the Rockers. I can't remember if I was Marty Jannetty or not, but we were the Rockers.
Just
and we
like
were
play wrestling with the pillows? Like,
Yeah, my mom and dad were just like, yeah, go outside and go play with the neighbors. No, I'm just kidding, mom, dad. I'm just kidding. No, they cared
Especially
about
his
me.
mom.
No, they cared about me. Don't call children's aid. Oh, it's
Yeah.
too late anyway.
No,
But yeah, no, we and then my brother was always into it, and it just was like something we all started to like, and I have pictures of me. I can post them in the comments, dressed up as Jim the Animal Neidhart and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and The Red Rooster was my jam because he had the
But what made you feel like you could get involved somehow? Like, what was that? Do you remember that moment, or how old you were when you thought, "Hey, I'm gonna try it," or "I want to," or?
I don't know. I guess I was never really. It was the same as anything that was on TV. It was something that was just like this. It was
Popular
way
culture.
far out of mine to ever be a part of it. Yeah, it was just like it was, it'd be like the same as being like, someday I'll be on Sesame Street. Like, it was just this, fantastic world of, whatever until.
Hand up a puppet's ass.
Where they hand up above his ass, yeah.
Jeez.
It's so it was just like until the indie world came around anyway, and then
So Eddie Osbourne, what age were you? Early memories of wrestling and liking wrestling and stuff like that.
I don't know, man. I was young. It was like elementary school, Hogan, we play in the schoolyard and all that, and then we used to backyard wrestle, and then this guy left, and I'm like, what, I can actually go and do this? So it was you who left that made me decide I was going to actually become a pro wrestler.
like when you left to go train.
Yeah, he
I
left
was
a
a
year
year
before
older.
me, and he graduated, and one day he's like, so I'm going. I'm like, pardon me? What, to train? I didn't know you could really like go and learn.
It's a
and
small town.
so it was pretty amazing when he left. I'm like, all right, well, I know what I'm going to do next year. I phoned him a year later, asked him if it was worth it. He's like, if you want it, it's worth it. There's a lot of craziness around. But he's like, I'll get you hooked up with a job right away, and yeah, if you want to come get
I
it.
mean, Ike didn't hook you up with a job?
No.
I already knew all that stuff, so I sacrificed everything for the team, so he didn't.
I
have
did
to go
really
through
well.
that.
Like, he had to go through all the crap.
Yeah.
I got there, it was like everything was laid out so nice.
Nice.
It was awesome.
So before wrestling, Jeff Black, did you ever go to any like WWE house shows or indie shows or any of that stuff when you were
And
younger?
I went to an indie show before I ever went to a WWE house show.
Nice. You remember
And-
when?
It was an Ike Shaw production.
No way.
Woodstock it was like, oh geez, I think it was in October. Someone knocked over the entranceway. I think it was Quan Chang.
Yeah, I remember.
The lights were, the ring lights were attached to the ring posts.
Yeah.
So whenever someone hit the ropes, it just shake, shake, shake. And then when someone would take a hard buckle, the lights would flip up and just point up at the ceiling. And then I'm pretty sure it became the rib to take as many hard buckles as anyone could to make sure the rest of the lights pointed up at the ceiling. But yeah, I went to an indie show. I know Quan Chang was on it.
What year is this?
Oh man, 2000.
Probably 2001.
Yeah.
2001. Yeah, I think it was like right before I turned.
But did you see him in a ladder match against Juan Ortiz?
I was a smaller man.
Man, I cannot remember.
Oh,
I
geez.
can't remember that. I remember Quan Chang on the show, and then the main event was
Gaza versus Sid Summers?
no Gaze against Johnny Keenan,
Okay, yeah.
and that
There's better stories from that
got me.
guy.
I like that match. I would like they brawled through the crowd. There's chairs going on. I wish I could find the photos that I took, but I was like I thought both of them were shoot crazy, and then I
One of them
proven
was.
right.
I think
Ah,
both
Gaze is
are.
pretty
Well,
crazy.
yeah. I was just being nice. I was on that show in a mask. I would wrestle against the Highlanders.
Jam G.
Jam G.
Yeah, that's right. And then
Secrets out.
no wonder
Kayfabe.
no wonder he has such an obsession with the ring lights. It's all coming together.
Yeah,
now.
yeah, I guess.
From
Oh,
the
that was
day-
also a TSN taping.
Well,
No way.
Yeah.
We
Wow.
were supposed to. Joe screwed it up because he had mustard on his shirt in the meeting, and they're like, this guy, and he kept asking for more money, and then it blew over. But there was in talks for TSN.
Yeah.
What about you, Sabrina Kyle? Any house shows or indie shows before you got into the wrestling?
I only went to one show. I went to SmackDown once.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my dad bought me tickets because I was so obsessed with wrestling. So he bought me tickets, and he was like, "Here, I got you these 2 tickets, but you have to take someone else because I'm not going."
Like a TV taping or a SmackDown house show?
No, it was a TV taping for
Do
SmackDown.
you remember which one? Like, was there any memorable matches?
Heidenreich was on the show because I remember my mom
Wow.
being like, "I like his little red shorts," and I still bother her about that.
Was it in Hamilton or Toronto?
It was
awesome.
in Hamilton.
Wow.
I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
not awesome.
Yeah, it was in Hamilton, and it was like Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle, I think,
Oh, wow.
was the main.
Nice.
So
Were you like hanging outside waiting for autographs or any of that stuff? Or?
no, but I did meet Randy Orton in the mall once when I was flyering for an indie show that I was going to be on. and he was like walking through, and he just like stopped and was like, "Hey, what's up?" And my friend was like, "Randy Orton just stopped and talked to you," and I was like, "Yeah, so weird."
Really?
Yeah.
Were you like nervous about it? Like, was it awkward?
It was it happened so quickly that I was just like, "Okay."
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Look at her. She was never intimidated by celebrities, right? What about you, Joe Dog? Same question.
I'm gonna try to not be like the longest answer every time, but okay. So I went to indie show when I was young with my dad.
In
and
Goderich?
No, it was in Kincardine, which is like north of Goderich. And Whipper Billy Watson's son was on the show, and a guy by the name of Firefox. And I don't know if he's like how long he was a worker in Ontario, but he like just blew the show away. It was awesome. I got an autograph from a midget on my ticket stub. A little person. I don't want to get fired.
From a midget.
I don't know if you're allowed to say that. Anyway,
Yeah.
I got an autograph on my ticket stub, which I lost, and there was a kid 2 rows behind me that was so scared he kept his nervous tick was he would fold his ear like this and like that because he was scared of the crashy bang. And then my first Fed show was WrestleMania 18. We went straight into the big ones. So my first match I ever saw at WWE was the Heat taping, which was like Mr. Perfect and like Rikishi. You were there. Do you remember who? It was like Rikishi. All I remember is
I just remember Hogan and Rock.
Mr. Perfect put his towel on his face, and then Rikishi did the stink face, and it got stuck in his butt. And then we went to like, well, Jeff and I went to a bunch too, but me and like Kenny, we went to like every house show like we went to Raw, SmackDown, like everything that there was. We saw a bunch of really cool stuff.
Those Rich Godrich folks. So was PWA the first ever Godrich indie show there, or was there ever
So the Firefox guy, apparently they ran Godrich before they ran Kincardine. And the reason I remember that is because I remember somebody saying like, man, that guy in the main event really bled a lot. And somebody was like, yeah, I heard he bled, it was the same match in Godrich and that they bled. And I was like, what's that supposed to mean? Anyway, so I don't know if it was Godrich or where it was because I wasn't at that show, but PWX was before PWA. And that's the first time I saw Elian Habanero, who bounced off the ring. Like that was the only remember I have of that show is that you hit the ring post so hard that the whole ring went. If the lights had been attached, they would have fell off.
Was that in that old one with the barn? Almost
it was called the Livery.
It used to be an old stable.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful building. It was nice. There wasn't a lot of space, but it was nice. Yeah.
It was a good atmosphere.
Hey, there's still 170 people. So
That's true. Yeah.
It was a great atmosphere.
And then I went to an indie show in Tilsonburg where I saw Eddie, and he did the gimmick where he kicks the bottom rope, and then was like, like he's really mad, so he kicks the bottom rope, and then you're like, Sports Generation is #1. But he held up 2 fingers because he was dumb, right? It was funny. No, you weren't dumb. I'm just saying you were playing dumb. Anyway, yeah, it was good.
He was fantastic, athletic, and a generation superstar.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there was like it was
Jesse Jones.
Yeah, Jesse Jones. It was like Chaos, and I can't remember who the other guy was, but there was like Chaos and another guy. Was it maybe? And they did like pile drivers through ladders and tables, and it was a wild show. It was a good show.
Yeah, they had some crazy matches back in PWX.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of Ontario wrestling historians out there. Someone Google Firefox.
Okay.
This guy.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's get this going.
I was a huge mark for him. Like we did like in art class, I made a Firefox like mask to try to remake his mask and stuff because I don't know who he was. It could have been Geza for all I have no idea who he was, but he stole the show. Somebody hit me up if you know who Firefox is.
And so Eddie Osbourne, any indie shows or WWE shows?
My first ones were ECCW on Vancouver Island. And then my first actual Fed show wasn't until Spears was getting looked at, and I thought he was going to be on the show, so we bought like nosebleed tickets, and we went there and we watched, and he didn't get on. I'm like, damn, that sucked.
Oh, but he was in the back or something?
Yeah, he was like you get tryouts, so maybe he wrestled or something.
Cool.
And then I won tickets to a Monday Night Raw taping. We were second row, and I got to watch Ruffy Silverstein and Lance Malibu get disqualified against the Islanders.
And if you want to hear the full story, I did a shoot interview with Lance Malibu on the Willow Show. It's on YouTube.
Willow Show.
And my favorite part was Ruffy goes, "How'd you get good tickets?" And then he went back to the ring, so like that bought me. He still was like, "How'd you get good tickets?" I'm like, damn. So.
Oh man. So I guess we should go, like, everyone got involved with wrestling, and then Jeff, I interviewed Eddie a couple days ago, and we talked about how he kept convincing you to start PWA, and you were reluctant. Let's hear your side of it. What do you remember about PWA starting?
We're on a wrestling trip stateside, Started off with a high quality border shit.
It was terrible. Like,
I was nervous. I was leaving my car in Buffalo for days.
Right.
he was crossing the border and he didn't want to lie, and it was terrible.
Oh, it's horrible. I didn't know how.
You didn't even need passports back then, did you?
I know.
You just I had a birth certificate.
Driver's license. But yeah, it was just on a trip, and there was a night where probably a few beers involved.
Oh yeah.
And I heard what Eduardo said, and it was basically like, F it, let's do it then.
And he said he had mentioned to you a couple times. Why were you reluctant at first to do it, or?
Money.
Oh, money.
Money.
Absolutely.
And then, you know,
It cost a lot of money back then too, with all the
oh
sanctioning
god,
fees and the
Ontario commission.
It was hard to get the insurance too,
And you had to put a cut of your gate of ticket sales to the commission every time. And
like
all that stuff.
we had to
you still
put
do
up
that, right? 3%.
Yes.
five people put in $1,000 each to get like insurance. Like, so if you bought 50 shows worth of insurance, then it was worth it.
Yeah.
But it's still like $5,000. And
a lot more now.
oh, she's laying the hammer down.
Oh, she's doing a run out.
Yeah, doing a run out.
She's up mother.
So
She's a very
Sabrina
good
Kyle,
mother, too.
when did you?
Oh, she gone.
Oh.
But yeah,
It costs a lot of money. That's why you need something called a money mark. That's where I'm guessing where I came in.
Yeah, probably.
This is bull crap.
no.
I had no idea. You
No,
said
I'm just
we
kidding.
have
I'm
to-
just kidding. I didn't have any money. I didn't.
Do you remember when they first pitched it to you? Though?
Yeah, 100%. I was in my dad's shop, like where I lived at my farm, and I remember getting the phone call, and like we were like welding or doing something, you know, in the background, and I remember telling him like, oh, it's okay, she's fine. I remember telling Jeff's like, hey man, I shouldn't do a Jeff impression. That's not nice. Anyway, but he's like, hey, like, what do you think about, you know? And I was like. You probably remember my rambling, like close to. I was like, you know, sometimes in life you just gotta have something that you strive for through the week to get you through, and blah blah blah. I gave him this big emotional speech about how like that, you know, like what's what we'll do on the weekends is like that'll be our, you know, our life is the and that's I guess kind of what happened is, you know, I mean I love my shoot job, don't get me wrong, but it's just it's something special to have this little group of, you know, that's what you're like. Okay, next show is. By the way, I was on the PWA. When is the next PWA show? It's not on the schedule.
January 10th, Campbell River, 365.
Was someone going to tell me that?
I mean,
This is
you get
bullcrap.
really emotional and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. No, anyway, but that's when Jeff kind of threw it at me, and I was like, yeah, 100%, let's do it. So yeah.
So Sabrina, did you ever hear about PWA before you came to like your first show? Like, had you been on the internet, message boards, any of that stuff before? When was the first time you heard of or came to PWA?
When Reggie started training me.
Okay, and he was obviously an active member of the roster,
Yeah,
so he started
he
bringing
brought
you
me
along.
he brought me to every show.
Wow. And do you remember the first one?
I remember the first Jay's Place show because you asked me if I was Reggie's wife.
Yeah, I did.
And I was like, I'm 15.
Oh my.
But yeah, I remember coming to those shows.
I don't know if that's
and
a
I would
knock
come-
on Reggie or on you, like if he's like, yeah, Reggie's kind of a
This
sleazebag.
guy
He
was
was
not
15
with you guys.
Yeah, it's like
She looked mature.
She-
She looked
yeah,
mature
yeah.
for her age.
So yeah, he would bring me to the shows and I would carry his belt.
And then how long after till you started wrestling in PWA? Was PWA your first match, or did you wrestle
So
elsewhere?
I worked for like student shows, but PWA was my first show.
Oh, okay.
And I remember I wrestled Portia Perez in the
yeah,
school.
cool.
The Cambridge one or the
Yeah.
flea
Yeah,
market? Oh,
Cambridge.
nice.
In the flea market shows, I broke my nose at the flea market
Oh,
show.
jeez. And how was a veteran like Portia to a up and comer like Sabrina Kyle back then?
I was already friends with her, so
Oh, good,
yeah,
good.
I had already
That made
known
it
her
easier.
for like 6 months, so
Jeez, well that worked out good. So
Yeah.
It's nice to have someone in in your back
Corner.
pocket. Eddie, I guess we
I
already
talked
covered
a
it.
lot.
Yeah, he's
I'll
talked a
react
lot.
on these guys.
Yeah.
He's just like a fridge magnet at this point. All right.
I kind of want to hit on something if you got a second. Like, so Eddie talked about how for a little while Jeff and I left PWA,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and you kind of said it was because like, you know, we were like hot at you or whatever. But in
That's
like
wild.
yeah, well, so like Eddie was like you were saying, you were running weekly in Brantford, right? And then weekly in where was the other one?
Cambridge.
Where was the other?
Was it
French
French Club or French Club or was no? I remember it was Cambridge, but I can't remember if it was French Club or the
Yeah,
Polish.
it
Anyway.
started Polish Hall, but when it was weekly, it was French Club.
Yeah, so I just wanted to clear up that like we, or at least me, I don't know about Jeff. I didn't want to leave because I hated Eddie. I wanted to run.
When I was doing my business.
Well, it wasn't even. It wasn't personal. It wasn't even like I just couldn't do the Brantford shows because Goddard's just 2 hours away from everything. Like it's like an hour and a bit to London. It's like an hour to Stratford. It's 2 hours. It's an hour and a half to Kitchener. I mean, so I was like, I physically can't have a shoot job and make these Brantford shows. So I was like, I want to still run PWA, but like over here. So I just wanted to clear that up. That it wasn't like screw Eddie. I'm done.
I was putting it on me.
Yeah, I know.
Joe Dog is gonna sleep well tonight with his conscience. And I wasn't even gonna go there, but now I want to hear Jeff. What? Same
Oh,
thing
it was
with
just
you?
madness. I was like, this is madness. Twice a week.
The Hacksaw Show.
Let's run. Yeah, I was like, let's run. Once a month or once every couple weeks. But I was like, let's do it on a Saturday in Mitchell, where I was living, like where I moved. You know what I mean? Like I just. Yeah, they were. I just couldn't physically do the Brantford shows. Maybe you were the same, but
for me, I'm like, this is madness. Like it's not the juice was not worth the squeeze.
Yeah,
for me,
it was always a risk gamble.
And
right?
I'm out. I can't do it. Like I'm out, and I was dirt effing poor.
I remember how happy he was when he finally got out of debt.
I remember Jeff calling me one time.
Right back in it.
I remember
that's a different story.
Jeff calling me one time. He's like, man, I just got an extra like $300 or $400. I'm like, what'd you do? Sell a kidney? And he's like, no, they upped my credit limit on my MasterCard. I'm like, that's not how that works. I'm like, that's not how that works, brother. No, that just means you can owe them more. That's not.
It was madness, man. I'm like, this is madness. Yeah. I can't do this, and just.
But it's like
went away for a couple of years.
Yeah, and it's like you said, like you learned a lot though, right? Like you learned, how to run a weekly show if you wanted to, and
no, I didn't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess. What not to do, maybe?
To not do it.
Yeah.
We did it last year. It was a lot of fun.
If you had it
at school, so.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it was just it was hard to make those, and also I felt like if I couldn't make a show, that I felt personally bad. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna not make any of them, and we'll just run our own gimmick and yeah.
So are you surprised, Jeff, that it lasted 14 years? Looking back at it now, or
no? Because this guy is stubborn as hell. He lived and died and bled and cried for those 3 letters when no one else probably would have stayed so true to the cause. And there's been peaks and valleys with PWA. There's been boomers. I swear to God, I was the boomers curse, because every time I show for a boomers show, there'd be like 30 people, and then I wouldn't be there for a boomers, and it'd be full.
Oh.
And
he's like, you can stop booking me.
Yeah. And
that's where we could sell though. Like he came up and was like, I'd like to do a show. I'm like, oh, sure.
Oh, so you just started wrestling, but you weren't involved business-wise at that point.
No, I'm not shocked that he had it go that long. Not shocked at all. A lot of stubbornness and Eddie Osbourne. That was me. Sorry, more stubbornness in the man behind Eddie Osbourne, I think. Probably pride got in the way. I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth.
It's a gift and a curse, kind of. Like.
But I'm still shocked that the 3 letters are going away and getting replaced by 3 numbers.
Yeah, 3 letters. And Sabrina, you came in. You weren't there right at the beginning, but you seen it when you came in around 2007-ish.
2006.
2006. So you only missed the first year or 2. And what do you think of the whole PWA, and now that it's been put to bed, and what does it mean to you, or what do you think it represents, or something?
I always thought of PWA as a family.
Me too. Yeah. Absolutely.
Even when I didn't wrestle for PWA for probably 3 years.
Yeah.
And I still I came back last year and it was nothing changed. Everyone was still family, and I got to work with Bia and Sierra a lot in PWA and develop 2 of the best friends I have now.
Yeah, for me too, it's family. I don't even really want to go to other shows because I just don't feel that camaraderie I do where I do there.
It's like I said to Jeff, if I was to break down on the highway, I could probably call any guy on the PWA roster, and no matter what they were doing, they would come help me.
I think that's why the shows were successful. Everyone pitching in, like your brother doing with the welding, and Jeff have to do something in the weekend and take the ring to Godrich, and everyone, if they were able to, would help with whatever they had to help with, right?
Yeah, even like the Goddard shows, like if I was having trouble getting one of the talents all the way up to Goddard, and like El Reverso was like, I got him. Like it wasn't, it's not even a question.
I don't drive. I got to every show.
Yeah, somebody's like, oh, yeah, I'll get him. Like it wasn't even a, yeah.
I think because deep down we're like decent people.
Yeah.
I might yell at everybody.
Oh, God.
But you know, if someone needed a place to stay, you know, I'd be like, give me 20 minutes so I can do the flight of the bumblebee in my apartment and clean everything up, but stay at my place. Or it's because I think it gets down to it, we're all decent people. I'm not saying that other people aren't decent, but also not a lot of ego gets in the way.
And I think everyone wanted it to be successful. Like everyone was looking the potential it could be and what it could go to and whatnot as well. So what's anybody's emotions about it closing? Like you were kind of touching on that a bit. Like, are you excited for the new one, or is it more like sadness?
I've always I used to always hate when someone would change their name. Like when Scotty O'Shea became the Hacker.
Or Pantalone became Chunky Fresh.
Yeah, sure, yeah, whatever.
sorry.
Or Elian Habanero. No,
you know, it's the same. But I realized everything's got to evolve. Like sometimes change is good, and you know, it's nothing wrong with a little rebranding, and with rebranding can come new opportunities. That could be new venues, new style, new workforce, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like new talent. It sucks. Some of the old talent might have to miss a few shows. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But you know, even if that was me, that's fine, because I'm a firm believer in, you know, when you go away, people miss you.
Absolutely.
And they can't miss you unless you go away. And when you come back, you can come back as a baby face and turn heel on them.
Yeah, you can't keep wrestling the same people over and over.
Yeah.
You need to have change in the air. What about you, Sabrina? When you found out it was closing, were you shocked, or what did you think initially?
No, I wasn't shocked but I feel like it's not really like, yeah, PWA is closing, but it's like Eddie's still running something.
Yeah.
It's not like
it's
it's totally like it's PWA's gone, it's done, everyone's, you know.
Never see everybody again, right?
But the day before the last show, I did look at Jeff and I was like, you know, tomorrow might be the last night that everyone in the room is all together again.
Yeah, it's like a high school reunion almost.
And I'm sure everyone's seen the photos. As soon as Sierra pinned me, I just started bawling and I couldn't stop crying, and I came to the back crying.
We've seen a lot of that too, like people, good and bad guys, hugging after the match, just because it's like the story is different when you're at that point, right?
I thought it was cool to see like Clay Wilson, Nolan Pink. Like you looked around and it was all talent who turned into fans to come out and see, like you and Reggie, and
we got
like,
a lot of that.
As soon as their match was done, it wasn't just like pack up and see you later. Like everybody just sat behind the merch table and watched the rest of the show because yeah.
What about you, Joe?
Oh,
how are you feeling, man?
I don't care. Whatever. No, I begged Besh, please, Eddie, please don't close. And then now I totally see it. Like I totally get it. If we're gonna do this, you know, everyday podcast thing, it's like it totally makes sense. And you don't want PWA to get like, you know, like it might. You don't want it looking at it from the outside. You know, you don't want it to be like kind of old and outdated, and it's just the same stuff over and over again. It's neat to be like, not that I feel like we were, but I think you don't want it to become that.
It's like new and fresh, and it's like PWA kicked up a gear, kicked up a notch.
Yeah, and it's like I was telling Eddie, like and like you said, like if there was just no more, like if Eddie's just like, no, I'm gonna go be a plumber or whatever and not do any wrestling anymore, then it would be like, it's me, then it would be heartbreaking. But for him, like, since we're still gonna be running, like, it's like I was telling Eddie, it's kind of like we graduated high school and now it's like we're going on to college. Like it's not like you're never gonna see your high school friends again. You're just going to a different school or whatever. Like, but whereas if it had been like and he's like, I'm not gonna run wrestling anymore. Wrestling's dumb. Then it would be like that would suck.
Yeah,
you know?
there's still hope there. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going away.
And Lenny and I talk about this all the time, how it's like the setting up and like hanging out after and tearing down and just like going out or whatever. Like sometimes that's just as fun as like doing a show or being on a show, is because you get to hang out or stuff like this where we're just kind of hanging out and chatting. Like sometimes that's just as fun as, I remember like in the early years, like me and Fox and everybody, when we tear this 21st Century Fox, in case you don't know who I'm talking about. Anyway, we would tear the ring down and like set the mats up in the corner and then like jump off the stage onto the and like just do crazy stuff like that. And when we should be working and tearing down and putting stuff away, but we're just like so yeah, like it's good that at least you're still running shows, or else that would be balls.
And like what you were saying, there's always been a lot of fun people involved in PWA. But Eddie, like Joe Dog saying he was begging you not to close it. What were other people saying? Were you getting a lot of that from people, or a lot of people saw it right away? Or
Most people thought it was crazy, right? They're like, why? I'm like, because I am. But I like to do that though. Like, I gotta change things up. So if I kill the thing I love the most, I gotta make it better the next thing. So that's what I'm gonna do.
So I'm personally still on a rush from the weekend, because I just feel like in my career I won't ever have a story like that I'll ever. But how do you feel the ending went? Like did you feel like, looking back 20 years from now, you're like, it was good?
I think
the way it ended.
I think the way it ended was...
Can I preface it though? This guy used to go to Tilsonburg and watch Warhead, and like was a big fan of him too.
Yeah.
So to have them like
be
part of all the history and intertwined, and then that last match they had together was pretty.
And the two most famous pure violence wrestlers in the division in PWA over the years, for sure. The two most decorated, and the ones you would associate with pure violence would be Hardcore Hick, Jeff Black, and Warhead, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think as a whole, like the last two shows, that like, man, if you want to remember PWA, that's how you should remember it, was those last two shows. Like Guelph, that was awesome for the temple gimmick.
Oh my god.
Where it was, I hate using the word organic.
Yeah,
but
it was natural.
That just, the fans did that on their own.
Yeah.
There's no prompting.
The best things in wrestling are when it evolves naturally.
There's that one photo, Lenny's got his back, he's throwing up the triangle, Tex is in there, and I'm like looking in wonder. I'm just on the apron looking in wonderment, and I'm like, this is happening.
Yeah.
This is so cool. And and it was a hot crowd. Like, I think there's some good atmosphere in that room. Guelph was an awesome show with Kitchener. The whole show, how it went, there was like old versus new. Old rivalries picked up. It was like Elian Habanero was still a current character. Coming back against Reggie Marley, who hadn't been there for a while.
And we had a lot of those guys come back.
Yeah,
too, right?
Jimmy, Juan, Ruffy. It was cool seeing Gaze come back.
Yeah, Jesse Jones. It was like the greatest hits of PWA or something like that.
And for me personally, it was cool, like having that match. Some of it hurt like hell, but I told Eddie this, I told Sabrina this. I was like, I'd never gotten a standing ovation until like that match, and I was just like, God damn! Like, it felt so good to see the people, like 1 or 2 stand up, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then just like everybody stand up and like clapping. Not for this like story that we told, but for, I think, what we did in the ring.
I think it was like respect for like how hard you guys worked.
I got a little dumped on my head on the board.
Oh god. The pictures are out there. The matches will be on YouTube, but for sure the Skullmaster pictures are up.
But for PWA to end on the weekend is awesome. That's how people should remember it.
Yeah.
And then for me and Warhead in PWA, a very, very fitting ending. us.
Oh,
and
man. I don't think it could have been done any better, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And Sabrina said she was crying, and there you could see it in the picture. It looked like she was very emotional and stuff like that. How do you feel now, a couple days after? Do you still feel the same, or?
I'm happy that I got to work CC
Yeah, for sure.
at the last show. I'm really proud of her, and she's come a long way in the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's got a bright future as well. But I mean, it's nice that she has people like you to help mentor her and have a good attitude to be around, because, you know, like, people say stuff about women's wrestlers and they're not on the same page, and I don't see that, because any time women's wrestlers are in PWA, they always seem to be part of the family and get along, and people like you are the reason for that, right? So you still feel the same way, like you're very emotional, but like, so are you excited about 365, or are you still like kind of like wish PWA wasn't over?
No, I'm excited to see what's gonna go on at 365.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'll probably be at every show. It's in if it's in Kitchener, because I'm here now. So,
Yeah.
you know, someone's got to help with the music.
And I'd like to announce my upcoming shoot interview with Sabrina Kyle that we're gonna do soon, because I'm the interview guy now. So I'm gonna do everyone's singles too. Like,
Awesome.
I might even try and get Jeff Black if he is able to get some sleep
If he's
at some
awake.
point. Yeah.
Oh, he's a busy guy.
Yeah, it's very busy. 2 phones.
Ask him about Murdoch mysteries and whatever. Yeah.
Joe Dog, what did you think of the ending, man?
So it was funny to see there. I had a fan come up to me and was like, "Hey, this is our first show." I'm like, "No, this is your last show, yo." I was like, "This isn't your first show." Yeah, it was. It's funny that, you know, it's still just. Oh, hey.
We gotta run in, folks.
Yeah, we gotta.
We gotta run out.
Where is it?
Lenny.
I don't think he's gonna fit.
No, he's gonna have my chair. I'm the interview guy.
You want me to move? I can
Yeah,
move.
I can. I'm.
What's going on?
It's your stool.
Hey,
It's
Hey.
the
I almost wore that
fucking
shirt too.
Lenny.
Man.
The
Hello, sir.
We're doing a wrestling roundtable.
Yeah, we're just talking about.
365 panel.
Did you know PWA ended?
What?
Yeah, I know.
When?
I know. I don't know. I just heard.
want it.
I'm
Anyway.
gonna go behind you, sir.
That's
So we're
nice.
just talking about the ending of the PWA and if Joe Dog was happy with how it ended.
Yeah, I thought it was really great to go out with like 300 people in the Alpine Club, like, and or at least it seemed like it was packed. There was people standing up and ran out of chairs.
280.
280 paid, or like, because I mean we had some friends that were standing up too. Anyway, no, it was it was awesome. And to wrap it up, there was like everybody was on their game in the match, like in their matches, and I was very happy with it. I think 365 is going to be awesome if that's the way we're going to start, even though we haven't started yet.
So
That
you
makes
did a
sense.
lot of stuff. You're announcing. You had to do the big speech at the beginning. You had to do a part in the violence match and whatnot. Were you just so into the zone of doing your thing, or were you feeling the emotions throughout
Well,
the night?
it's interesting. Like, I didn't really have to do any of that. I would have begged to do it, but Eddie was like, "Man, you can go and say whatever you want," and that just like, I don't know, that started the role of this emotional, like, you know, that's what rolled into the speech, and it's like Jeff was saying, it just happens organically, where you look around at all these people and you're like, wow, nobody had to be here, and they wanted to be part of this cool event. And it's like you were saying about the tempo gimmick in Guelph, like, you can do whatever you want in the ring, but you can't make people do that, like sing your theme song and change the lyrics. Like, that's pretty special, pretty special thing. So yeah, but no, I was hoping to be involved as much as I could, and it was great. It was a great wrap up.
So Eddie, when you had planned to end PWA, would you, in your head, is this how it would have gone, or better or worse, or were you happy with how the last
I
shows
made a
went?
ton of money. I'm gonna end it again next month. No, I thought it was actually
February 24th, PWA. Just kidding.
Yeah. The invasion of PWA.
Probably the 29th, because 365 don't run on that day.
Yeah.
But luckily, no, it was perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Lenny, you kind of missed a couple questions. We were just talking about the beginning of PWA and how we got involved. But I did a shoot interview with you, so your story is out there. So what did you think of the final weekend, man?
It was a lot of work. Friday had a great time. Saturday I didn't enjoy it at all. As you all saw it on my face, I didn't want it. I put a lot of pressure on myself to do something, and it worked out. I'm glad it did, but it wasn't that fun the last show for me. So
Yeah, it's like nerve or just
yeah, it was
tension, like-
nerves. You know, people get
Absolutely.
there on fucking time. I mean, can I swear on this?
Yeah, can we swear?
Yeah.
Can we say whatever we want? Chris Benoit! Chris Benoit! I can't say that! I can't say that! I don't know, I can't say that!
But like, so going up to it, you're nervous. A couple days later, now how do you feel about how it ended? Were you happy with the last 2 shows there?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, everything was great.
Yeah, I think, I don't want to be a jerk here, but like, if we had to choose between going out like that or going out like Brand X Wrestling where we all ran out of money and then had to go, hey Eddie, can I come back and be your ring announcer again? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like this was way better. This was way better. It's like every match was on point. Everybody was there like to have a great time. And the people that weren't booked weren't like, like they stayed and watched the show. They stayed and surrounded the ring and they watched the show and they had a great time. And that to me is that's PWA. Like I think, and hopefully will be 365 as well. Is that people, you don't have to do this or you don't have to do this, but you want to be like, oh, you know, I'll help you set
What's
up.
365? I don't work there.
We'll talk about it. Like it's this new
Contracts
guy.
in the mail.
Yeah, it's this new guy. Like Shaw's coming back to run it or something or no?
No,
Don't say that.
Doing the MMA.
Sue your ass.
Yeah.
But to put a little like input on there. Notice how we all say we,
Yeah.
and it's Eddie's
Yeah. Sorry.
bastard stepchild.
You're like, don't take my. No, sorry.
But everyone says we, and that's how everybody feels. It's
Yeah,
like
he fills the fridge, we all eat.
And yeah, well, and that's once again, it's regardless of being booked. Like I like. It doesn't mean you're booked. You're just part of this little group. Like even if when you still see.
You have to get a booking to show up.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
That's true. I don't know. That's what I
Chris
mean.
Benoit, Chris Benoit.
Chris Benoit. Anyway, but no, you still feel like you're part of that group, even if you're just there. Or like, I'll just sell merch or I'll just watch whatever. But I don't know. Maybe
So
that's.
what should we do? Everyone do one final memory? Like maybe tell a funny story, PWA story? Let's start with you, Jeff, or whatever you want to say for your
I
last.
just want to first.
final.
I'm
Oh,
gonna cut
sorry.
you off.
No,
I
yeah.
haven't said their names at all, but MVP and Misty Haven,
yeah.
they were a huge part of PWA as well. And
He's been losing
thank
sleep
you
over
guys.
this.
I have, because I've been naming all these names. And
Yeah.
those are 3 names that have done a lot with me in PWA, and love those guys.
Yeah, they were awesome.
So everyone just can do a final memory, final statement, funny story, however you choose to end. Start with you, Jeff.
I can't really think of anything funny off the top of my head. I know there's been a lot of funny shit. But it's mainly just like inside jokes.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
That's all he has to say, and Lenny's like, oh
that's
man.
the most recent one. That's the most recent one, Lenny. And it's just, man, great way to. I'm glad the PWA was able to end the way it did on a extremely high note. Fitting end for all the peaks and valleys that it's had.
I think it shows what it meant to people because you've seen fans that haven't been to shows in 5-6 years come out to pay their respects to it, right? There's tons.
What's her name?
Dana.
Dana.
Lots of them. There's tons. The hat guy came back. Like there's lots
Hat
of
guy.
people.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's very fitting.
The guy we saw in the laundromat the day before.
Yeah, I was
Man.
washing my gear the day before, and this guy, Mike something Ski.
Yeah.
Last name Polish.
Wisniewski.
Oh yeah,
Wisniewski.
he was wearing the white Lenny Lilac shirt. That's the very first one.
He wears everybody's
Yeah.
shirts.
He's
He
the one
literally layers up.
Yeah, I know.
And when you come,
That's who it is.
he tries to find out the order
Yeah.
so he can, like, just start
Yeah.
peeling layers.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
One time I refereed.
Yeah, he drove us home.
I refereed a match one time, and it was Joey Allen that was wrestling, and he was like, "Come on, Joey!" And I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Not you!" Like every time he was like, "Come on, Joey," I'd be like, "Me? You need me? What's up?" And he'd be like, "Not you, the wrestler." He was getting all hot at me. So,
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I think what Jeff was saying with the inside jokes too, it's like everyone like can be understood in this group where no one else really gets it the way we get it. Like when you're in PWA, you just feel welcome and you're just nobody else in your shoot job or whatever would understand the way the family of PWA is.
7-Eleven pizza, baby.
Yeah, I love it, man. April 6th next year.
I
Sabrina,
said-
you're up. What
I
do you wanna
said
do?
coffee gimmick this morning, and someone's like, "What?" No, the coffee gimmick.
Give me the gimmick.
Coffee.
No.
Well, PWA was my first match. PWA was my first women's show. I had a lot of firsts in PWA. I got to manage Eddie Osbourne for a while.
Oh, wow. Get it back there.
But PWA was like pretty much my teenage years. I came to all the shows with Reg, and I really feel like PWA kept me out of trouble. I learned how to set up a ring. And
That's deep. Like, you know, like at a critical time in a person's life, being a teenager and being able now to see how successful she is. She's a good mother, good wrestler, and all this stuff like that. And she's giving some credit of that to PWA. So that hit me at home because I'm a parent. Anything else? Joe Dog, you up? Or?
Yeah, like I have 900 how awesome PWA
We're all gonna
stories. I'm
leave.
not gonna.
Let's
No,
move on
I could. I really
Well,
could. But like, yeah. I mean, just learning about kayfabe for wrestling that we use. No. But like,
Wait a minute.
you don't realize how often you use that in your real life. Like even in your shoot job, you're like, "Oh, hi, how are you? Nice to see you, sir." But in the back of your head, you're like, "Oh, I hate this guy." You know what I mean? Like you use that. You learn that. Yeah, exactly. There's one. There's one story I want to tell where. So one time at a show in Clinton, my mom came and Reggie Marley met. I was like, "This is my mom." He's like, "Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Reggie Marley." Hey. And yeah, so my mom. So at one point, I was doing this gimmick where he was a bad guy and I was managing Jeff. And he like looked at me and he's like, "Oh," he was all mad. And he looked over and he saw my mom and I just saw his eyes like it was like this little like bing. And then he like started walking over to my mom and he's like shaking his ass at her and like doing the sexy thing to my mom. So my mom splashed water in his face to cool him down. He goes, Psh, and he's like, he acted like he was choking. And now my mom's favorite wrestler is Reggie Marley. And that's what he always says. He's like, "Hey, where's your mom? Where's your mom?" And he does these little dances. He's ridiculous. But yeah, no, I've got, like I said, thousands of stories, and they're all hilarious and awesome. But there's going to be more with 365, right?
Yeah.
We'll have a chance to get stories every day, 365 days a year, except for leap years.
I'm going to be the shoot interview king. So, Eddie, just seeing everybody around this table talking about something that you started and, well, started with these guys and continued doing, how special is that for you?
What I took away from it, all PWA, was so many people cared so much, and it meant so much to them, so that's amazing. Yeah, can't be happier.
He's tapping out. Lenny, you're up.
Canada Day. All the Canada Day shows are great. They always seem to lead into that storyline coming for the September. Whatever we did in Canada Day, like Sid Summers, I never met him before, and he came and he was wearing a white suit and he was handing out business cards, and I'm like, "Who the F is?" I ripped it up and threw it in his face, and he went to Eddie right after. "Oh, that guy," because I was the only one that responded to him. So, like, Canada Day was always one of my favorite things. Elian and I were supposed to have a match on Canada Day, and Ruffy and Jeff went for 45 minutes instead.
Hey, now.
And in front of 5,000 people, and we got, what, 2.5 minutes?
It was a blockbuster.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Hey, I made out with Derek Platinum's ass.
You married your cousin?
Married,
Yeah.
No, proposed to my cousin.
Yeah.
Made out with someone's asshole. Called a lady a old bat, a haggard broad.
Now I know I don't have it.
Yeah, that's why we lost Canada Day.
Oh,
See what next year brings.
Sorry.
we can do it in
sirs.
Goddard, maybe. No, I don't want to burn God. No.
Canada Day was always my favorite. We were there all day, all night.
And you could run stories, too. Like,
Ruffy was always on time with the ring.
Fucking rough.
I guess we close it out. What do you think, man?
I think there's going to be more to come of this. We're going to see 365 is all about content. If you like hearing these guys speak, let's hear it, and we'll get them to do more of this kind of stuff. And we just thank you for watching, and we'd like to hear the comments. Please comment if anything that we
Share.
talk about interests you, and share it. And we were just happy